I got a report from a company that's called T2 Partners. It was a $2,600 report. It's put out for hedge funds that want to invest in financials. And I got this from it. I thought this was really, really great. And it says, an enormous amount of money to be made corrupted our financial system. It's kind of how we got where we are. If you offer people a lot of money to do something, no matter how foolish, unethical, illegal, or a large number of them will do that. The corollary is the more money to be made, the more bad behavior that will occur. That's what happened. It got to the point where anybody could get a loan. I did a short sale for a client who made $2,500 a month. He had a $750,000 loan. Oh. Just a couple days ago, I was talking to an agent about this class, and he says, you know what, my broker says short sales are almost over. How many of you believe that? No. Okay. There's 2 waves have gone through of foreclosures. The first wave was the speculators, the investors who got in, never made a payment. They were hoping to flip the property. They took a HELOC on their house, bought a property, fixed it, tried to flip it, and they end up losing it. It was also the subprime borrowers, the 2 cooks at McDonald's that decided it was cheaper to buy a house than it was to rent. Because to rent, they needed first, last, and security. To buy a house, they needed nothing. And the payment was less than rent for the first couple of years. That was the first 2 waves. So here's where we are. And a lot of people will say, well, gee, look, it's getting better. It feels like it's getting better, but it's not. There's more waves to come. There's 3 more waves. The next wave, which is mostly the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, and these are people who lost their jobs, whose houses are underwater. Some people are losing their houses because they just can't afford it. There's other people who are making financial decisions. You know, I'm so underwater, I could afford to take a foreclosure, save the money, and get back on my feet and be better off 3 or 4 years down the road. The other is the big jumbo loans, and we'll talk in a minute about how the average foreclosure is getting more expensive, higher priced. People who took out the seconds on their HELOC, took them out for vacations, for cars, to buy other properties. That's the next wave. And then this point here we're not going to talk too much about, we're going to talk a little bit, is the commercial. The commercial is just now starting to get into the short sale business. So here's where we really are. We have this to climb through. Almost as big as what we had before. And it goes through 2012. About end of 2012, the market will start to stabilize. It's going to take us a couple more years to stabilize the market before we have any point of appreciation. So when you look at it this way, you think, whoa, there's a lot of business to be made right here that a lot of people won't be making. And if you don't learn short sales, you're just missing the boat. The other day I was talking to my title rep, and he said, Sherman, my boss is telling me that only 25% of all the sales recorded are short sales. He goes, how can that be? Doesn't sound right, but when you look at the inventory is over 60-some-odd% of all the property in the inventory is short sales. So I says, well, let's take a look at that. So I pulled up all the short sales, and I went, oh my God, 78% of all the current pendings were short sales. And he goes, I knew my boss was wrong. And I go, well, wait a second. Let's see what closed. I pulled up all the short sales that closed. What do you think the number was? 25%, exactly. That means 50% aren't closing. You know why? They're committing short sale suicide. You're getting into these transactions, and they're just not closing. Only 25% is closing.